Hey Guardians! So over the long weekend, with the Root of Nightmares raid in rotation, I went to farm the first encounter on Master Difficulty for some adept weapons. Because the first encounter features so many champions and tormentors, I thought it'd be a funny idea to throw on Peregrine Greaves, and oh my goodness, this thing cooks! This thing is crazy! I can't believe I haven't used this before. This honestly shocked me, and I will probably start using this a little more often. So I'd like to present to you the build that I use to make my farming really easy. Peregrine Greaves got a rework recently. All shoulder charge abilities deal bonus damage when activated in the air, and then dealing damage to mini-bosses, tormentors, or champions with your shoulder charge refunds your melee. So the idea is that you want to shoulder charge in air on any of the three types of enemies that were just listed, and you just refund your melee ability. There are three charge abilities that Titans have access to, one on Void, one on Solar, and one on Arc. From what I've heard from other Titan mains, Void gives the highest damage cap, right? Like you can deal the most damage in a single shoulder charge using Void. Solar is next up, and then Arc is the most consistent. For the sake of farming the first encounter over the weekend, I used Void. I was just really comfortable with using the Void subclass on Titan. It's more of a comfort class to me compared to Arc and Solar. So that's what I ended up using, and I'll show you how I set it up. There's a number of things going on in a subclass configuration. The really big thing is, of course, having Shield Bash, because we kind of need that for Peregrines to activate. For aspects, I went with Bastion, which would give our Barricade the ability to give us an overshield. So the idea is that you can sit behind your barricade, and then when the time is right, you run up to a champion and you slap him in the face. I just found this to be like a really easy way to boost up the shoulder charge. This kind of provides the consistency we're looking for. We also have Offensive Bulwark. This is the part where your overshield boosts your melee damage. For fragments, I went with Echo of Exchange, granting us some grenade energy. We're going to do a lot of melee final blows. Void buffs are increased duration, notably Overshield and Devour. We're going to bring in Devour with Echo of Starvation. Picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. And then we'll also have Echo of Leeching. I found that even in master level content, I was still blowing things up with my melee final blows, so this was reasonably consistent to proc. For mods, you're looking at a little something like this. You want your stats mostly in resilience and in strength, so that's why I maxed those two out, just to bring class ability and your melee regeneration up there. You do refund your melee entirely when hitting mini-bosses, tormentors, and champions, but there are some instances I found where I just really wanted to shield bash into a group of ads, basically. So there is some downtime that I've found personally. Now, of course, if you're more disciplined about it and you're exclusively hitting champions and tormentors and whatnot, then maybe you don't need a very high strength score, but honestly, I just think it's kind of nice. Element's pretty straightforward, you know, just some ammo finder, some siphon mod. Arms, this is where things kind of come in. I threw on melee kickstart because in case I use my melee ability on a group of ads, this is supposed to help me bring that energy back faster. Heavy-handed is super nice just because I have found that killing enemies with your punches was really fun, so creating some orbs of power while you do that is pretty nice. And then to pair up with that, grants class ability and energy. Powered melee attacks not only include the shield bash, but also your punches when you have overshield. So that ends up being a lot for the Void subclass at the very least. Chest piece, use whatever resistances that are applicable. For the legs, normally I would include Invigoration in my setup, but I found that I didn't really need it that badly. Like, it worked out okay when I didn't have it. So because I was dealing with master level content and I wanted to maintain my survivability, I ended up going for Recuperation, Better Already, and then threw on Absolution just to kind of round things out. And for class item, I went with Reaper, Bomber, and Powerful Attraction, just something pretty standard. While I am releasing this video past the Root of Nightmares rotation, I think there's more application than just farming adept weapons in Root of Nightmares. I think this does have some pretty solid application in Grandmasters. I've seen some people using Grandmasters or any just kind of content with a lot of larger enemies to deal with. In that case, I think that this could be really sweet. Maybe you bring this into the coil or something like that. Just any kind of like long form activity could work just fine. I think everybody has seen a lot of hype around Peregrine Greaves, and at first I was kind of reluctant about it, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that it really was performing that well, and it honestly is just not only is it performing well, it's just really fun to throw yourself at enemies like that and just have a full melee afterwards to do it again if you want to. It's honestly really fun. I would give it a try. So have fun with it, Guardians, and I'll see you guys next time.